Good morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is Kevin Golden. I'm a former linebacker at Mississippi Valley State University. Shout out to the SWAC. Shout out to the Noobs. But now I work as a trial attorney at Morgan & Morgan in Atlanta, Georgia. And it is my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Frank Ryan of DLA Piper. And DLA Piper is one of the largest law firms in the world. And Frank serves as DLA Piper's global co-chair, global co-CEO, and America's chair. So he's big boss, all right? Since his election to the chair in 2019, Frank has driven growth and innovation for the firm. And under his leadership, he's made significant gains in the areas of technology, life sciences, healthcare, and highlighted by high-profile practice launches and successful recruiting efforts. One thing I definitely wanted to point out was that Frank is the founding partner of the Legal Elite Athletic Pipeline Scholarship Program at DLA Piper. And that's the firm's initiative aimed at supporting student athletes in their pursuit of legal careers through scholarship and educational guidance. The connection to sport, Frank was a 4-year letter winner as a wrestler at Syracuse University. So I want you to give you a big round of applause for Mr. Frank Ryan.
Thank you very much. Very good, very good. That's well done. All right, thank you all for being here this morning. I'm really excited to share what we're up to with you. I want to reorient, you've been sitting, listening for a long time. I want to reorient your minds around something different. Not name, image, and likeness, which is important. I want to reorient your brains around your brains, what I'm looking for, your minds, right? Your hearts, your judgment, your capabilities in a different setting. College athletics, I'll get into it. I've been involved in it much of my adult life. Every season for every sport ends the same way for 99.99% of you. You lose. Every sport, every season, the outcome for most of you is the same. You lost. There are only a few people in each of your sports that end the season happy, that end the season pleased. There are 16,500 Division I football players. 85 of them end the season happy. They won a national championship. Women's basketball, 5,000. Go Gamecocks, there you go, shout out. 15, right, end the season happy. I was a college wrestler, I'll talk a little bit about this. 3,000 student athletes, 10 end the season happy, everyone else lost. So what fascinates me about this for you is why the work? Why do you work so hard? Why are you so committed to what you do? Knowing, you have to know, that the chances for you at the end of the season to have your hand raised is incredibly low. It's less than 1%. It's about 0.003%. Chances that your season is going to end with you reaching your goal. I never reached mine as a student athlete, I'll admit that. So what's interesting to me about you for the practice of law is what makes you do that? Why work that hard when you know the chances of winning are so low? What makes you do that? And then, what is that doing to your brain? Your brain more than your body. Your body's great, talking about your brain. What does it do when you're a student athlete for that 4 or 5, or now in the COVID world, 6 years, right? The training you're getting as student athletes, what is that doing to your mind? Your ability to compete and work that hard, immense effort for the ultimate goal return being extremely low. I think that training is incredibly important and special. I think it makes you uniquely qualified to consider law school as the next step and maybe a legal career as the next step for you in a professional sense. So understanding the transformation that goes on, not your body. I mean, I remember as a student athlete laying in bed after practices or competition. You're exhausted, you're beat up, you're bruised, right? But it's what it does to your brain over a period of time. Never-ending competition, never-ending battle, never-ending fighting, all the time for a reward that you all must know is unlikely to materialize. That's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want you to own that. I want you to understand what a superpower that actually is for you. More than anything else you have, it is a superpower. I'm interested in how that work you've done has transformed you. And I want you to hold on to that, and I want you to own it, because of all the hurdles you may have in your lives, everyone has them, this will help you overcome any of them, because it is incredibly unique. What you've done and what you've experienced is incredibly unique, all right? That's what I want to talk to you about today. So, who am I? My name is Frank Ryan, as you guys heard. I was a student athlete at Syracuse. I graduated in 1990. I wrestled at 158 pounds. Yes, I don't weigh 158 pounds anymore. I know you guys knew that was coming. All right. After my college career, I took off a year. I want to talk about taking a break, by the way. I was exhausted when I was done competing, and I was done. I was wiped out. I needed a year just to gather myself, think, focus. My girlfriend and I at the time, now my wife, we drove around the country, went to all these different places. I waited tables in restaurants. I got to do nothing for a period of time, just think. And then ultimately I went back to law school. I went back to Syracuse. I became a graduate assistant coach. I got back involved with our team. And then I was focusing only on one thing, really, at the time, being a student, not a student athlete. The greatest experience, professional experience, intellectual experience of my life. And I realized that I had some ground to cover, because yes, when you're a student athlete, there are certain things you can't do that students can do, students only. So I had some work to do. I had a good success in law school, got a job at a law firm. Things went well for me. I ran different groups. I built a great sports and media business. We have done work all around the world. We have bought and sold the largest professional franchises. We worked recently on the Manchester United deal. I worked with ESPN forever. We've done every stadium you can imagine around the world, Olympics, World Cup, we've done everything. Our team is global, and it's been a fantastic success. I've been around sports my whole life, but on the owner side, thinking like an owner, okay? I have 3 sons. My oldest son went to Stanford, was a Pac-12 Player of the Year in soccer, All-American, multiple-time academic All-American. He's a professional soccer player right now, played at BMO Stadium a couple nights ago against LAFC. My middle son, Sean, I see some of the red out here. He's a Buckeye, the Ohio State, right? He was a center defender at Ohio State University. And my brother, Tom, is the head wrestling coach at the Ohio State University. I've been around it as a parent, as a participant, as a student athlete, all of it. So I understand who you are very, very well. I understand it because of my experience since I've graduated. I understand who you are better than you understand who you are. And I want to explore that with you today. I want to make sure you understand this power that you have, all right? I want to make sure you understand what this experience you've been through has done for you, how it shaped you, and how you should hold on to that and use it, all right? That's today. So student athletes, first of all, you're incredibly rare. You don't realize how rare you actually are, but you are rare. 341 million people in the United States. There are 190,000 Division I athletes. There are about 300,000 if it's Division I, II, and III. So just on the numbers game, you are as unique as it comes, right? You are multiple standard deviations from the mean, all right? Incredibly unique. But what's also really unique about you is what you had to do, what you continue to do while you're a student athlete. First thing is balancing. You were asked to pursue 2 completely different pursuits, and you're asked to do them exceptionally well. Academics and athletics. By the way, in the professional world, not many people are asked to do that. You are asked to do it every day. You got to balance those things. By the way, you may have a coach who's stressed, not winning enough games, it's pressure on you guys. Some coaches are great people and do great things. Some are not, right? You have parents, by the way, some of them have no idea what you're going through. They love you, but they have no clue what you guys are doing. They just don't, right? So you've got to balance all this. You may have had a great day on the field, but you got a test coming up. How are you going to manage all this? That is so powerful for you, the ability to balance those things. Not many people have to do that, especially at the highest levels where people are watching you all the time and you're judged on winning and losing. Incredibly important. You are long-term thinkers. Long-term commitment. You're optimists, the ultimate optimist. You know that one sprint isn't going to change your life, but you know 1,000 will, and 1,000 squats, and all the other things you've done to make yourself tough and strong and fit. You're doing all those things knowing that the prospects of ultimate success are still very, very low. That's incredibly unique. You know how many people really work that hard? Ever, in their entire lives. Many of you guys work harder from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. than most people do the entire day, okay? It's amazing what you've done. You know how to suffer. Suffering is important. Anyone who tells you there's an easy way to do this, they're fools. No easy. And you guys learn this. Every day, you've learned the importance of working hard. Teaming. You know in your bones, and you've lived this, you have to think about someone other than yourself. That's very important in our world. It's very important in our profession right now, the legal profession. The issues are so complicated. It's not just sometimes what does the contract have to say, but you're dealing with the contract that relates to the Olympics in Beijing or the World Cup in Qatar. How about the geopolitical considerations, right? How about the cultural considerations? You guys are prepared for this, okay? You're prepared to understand and do these things. The team, think about someone other than yourself. That means sometimes you're a team leader, but sometimes you're just a good teammate. I live on teams, right? It happens all the time. People love to talk about student athletes and use the word resilient. I hate the word, I'll tell you right now. When you run a mile, you guys are sprinting. Do you run the mile to finish the mile to say, oh, I did it, I was resilient, I got through it? Or do you sprint just to have the same time all the time, or lift weights just to lift the same amount of weights? That's not what you're doing. You're not resilient. There's a phrase, a term called anti-fragility. It's one of the most important concepts for professionals. It's so important. And you guys have been trained on it for years, since you've been little. Here's anti-fragility. You seek out discomfort. And when you do it, you get better. You get stronger. You get tougher. You don't just receive the pain and tolerate it, resilience. You put yourself in positions where you're uncomfortable, and you get better and stronger as a result of that. Very few people understand this. You guys have learned this. You've lived this your whole lives, right? That is one of the most single powerful things you have, which makes you so unique. Now, all these things, right? All these things that you've experienced, when you start breaking these things down, what happens invariably is you never get to look at them in the big picture like I do now, that I can in my vantage point, in my role, right? You don't get a chance to think about these things like I think about these things. You focus on your weaknesses. You know how many people in life really focus on their weaknesses? Let me tell you what they do. It's not bad, just the way human beings are. They look in the mirror and they say, wow, it looks good. They do. That's not what you guys do. Never in a day do you go without focusing on a weakness, recognizing that that weakness is going to expose you. And by the way, everyone on your team knows it and your coach knows it as well. Everyone knows it, okay? It's an incredible thing for you to have as an understanding, focusing on weaknesses. You know, it's a beautiful thing to have. The other thing is you like to be around greatness. Let me tell you what that means. When I was a competitor, when I was young man, right? I had people around me that were really tough, smart, tough, physical, and their job was really, when we went to practice, to beat me up, and my job was to beat them up. That was it. That was the deal. And I loved them because they helped me get better by doing that. You guys experience this every day in practice. Someone's going to try to embarrass you. That's their job. And your job is to do the same thing back to them. What's important about this is you're not afraid of greatness. You're not afraid of being around people who are going to push you, who will make you uncomfortable, okay? What you have, okay, is the greatest training program that exists in colleges and universities in the world. You are living it. There is nothing remotely close to what you've experienced. The issue is, what are you going to do with it? Okay? I heard the speakers before. There were some great comments. Transferability, translatability. So if all you are, ultimately, I'm 56 years old, I look back and say, man, I was a really good wrestler. I had a great double leg takedown. I could do all this stuff. And I think about that all the time. Oh, that's great. What I want you to do is take this amazing training program you've had, this crucible, this pressure situation, and transfer it to the next phase of life. All right? Transfer that to the next phase of life. I'm not asking you to do something that I don't know about. I had to do it. Okay? Others, many others have had to do it. Understanding what you've done as a student athlete and taking that now and thinking about it in the professional world is a different game. But you have the ability to transfer those skills. That is what you have to own now. You cannot lose that. You're not going to be around people when you leave college who are always looking to help you, push you, make you better. You don't have to do this yourself, and you better own this principle, transferability, okay? What did I do? I graduated from college, go to law school. I had some ground to cover, you know? And I hear this from student athletes a lot. I'm behind, I'm behind. So-and-so had an internship, and they got to do this, and I was training all summer. You're not behind. You are so far ahead, it's not funny. You just don't realize it. You have no idea how far ahead you are. Okay, someone did an internship. That's great. But did those people suffer for 10, 12, 13 years? Suffer? I mean, really? Focused on a goal that you know is almost impossible to achieve, and notwithstanding, you did it. All right, you've done that. Incredibly powerful, incredibly important. It let me transfer from wrestling to practicing law. And I had the opportunity to practice at the highest levels with an incredible team. I am convinced the skills you have will allow you to do the same if you transfer them, all right? If you do that. So when you stop and think about transferability, you think about where you are right now. You can look at weaknesses, challenges, but you need to start thinking about what game you're playing, folks. Because the game isn't basketball, it's not track, it's not football, wrestling. That game's gone. When you're done, that game's gone. Now you're in life, right? That's a whole different ballgame. So your orientation needs to change to compete in life, right? How am I going to compete in life? The one way you will compete most effectively in life is to understand what it is you learned all your years as student athletes. If you forget that, you're adrift. You're in trouble. You have to remember suffering, working, teaming, focusing on weaknesses. And if you do that, I'm telling you, you're going to have wild success. If you put 1/2, 1/3, 1/10 the amount of time that you put into your physical pursuits, into pursuing a legal degree, you will have, I guarantee you will have wild success. Wild success. Not just okay success. If you put that amount of time into this, you guys will do incredibly well. And the opportunities are out there, all different phases. Law degree is owning, it's brain power. It's working with others, but it's knowing and trusting you can analyze this. You've got great judgment. You can think through these issues. You've earned the right, all of you, to position yourselves to do that. But you got to step forward now and work on that, okay? Very, very important. Big law firms, the top lawyers in these firms, $20 million a year or more, okay? Serious businesses, okay? You've got people that are trying cases right now, some of the most important trials. You saw the news yesterday? You all know what happened yesterday, right? If you don't read it, the House decision, the NCAA, right, folded. Settlement, $2.8 billion. Student athletes are going to get paid. Now, you know how long that's been going on? That fight? Ed O'Bannon started that fight against UCLA. That was 2010, I think. I was involved in it for ESPN. You have a chance, given what you've done, to have that type of impact, all right? You should take advantage of it. So here's why we're here. We want to help you understand who you are. Not in NILs, right? You got other people that can do that, all right? I want to help you understand what you can do with this amazing training that you've had. So we started this Legal Elite Athlete Pipeline Scholarship Program. I started it. Why? I was a student athlete. I understand your superpower. I understand what you have. You don't yet, but you will. So you're here, which is a start. The fact that you all came here to learn demonstrates your curiousness, which is great. It certainly demonstrates that you're committed to life beyond being a student athlete, which is fantastic. But now the hard stuff comes in, right? Where you got to do some of this stuff on your own. There isn't a coach or a trainer or anyone else. Now you're owning your life, okay? You're owning it. And that's a scary thing, but it's an exciting thing, especially given who you are with what you've learned, what you've gone through. I know it. So please, we have this program. Sign up. If you're interested in law school, think about it. Get educated on it. Meet some people. He's over here, Peter Bino and Rachel Pepper, two people from our firm. Rachel's the chief of staff. She basically is my boss. She tells me what to do all the time, and I just do it, which is a good thing. Peter Bino, look him up. He's got a Wikipedia page. Understand who this guy is. This is a seriously powerful human being. Talk to people. The programs provide you scholarship, LSAT prep, mentorship will demystify this for you. So often, it's just knowing the game, right? You have to understand, we can help you do that. So if you're interested in law school, right? If you're interested, considering it, put your name in. Fill out an application. You're going to meet great people. You're going to learn a lot about yourself and about the profession. And I'm convinced, again, based on the experiences you guys have as student athletes, you are positioned to do exceptionally well, right? Transferability, owning who you are and what you're doing. You heard those comments before. Owning, recognizing ownership is one thing. Executing on ownership is something else, all right? And that's what we need you to do. So sign up, get involved in this. We're happy to mentor, teach, learn. We'll work with you, okay? Now, let me pause here and take a breath. I had a lot of caffeine this morning, so I'm going to try to calm down a little bit. Any questions you have for me? I know I'm a little short on time, but I'll answer anything. If there's a question anyone wants to ask, don't be shy, don't be afraid. If you don't want to ask, you can send me an email. Oh, scan this. This is the LEAP program. Do that, all right? Don't ignore it. Do it. And if you want to know anything, yeah, question, sure. Shout it out. Sydney, where are you from?
Virginia, but I go to school in LA.
Okay.
On a pre-law track.
Great.
You said it yourself, you have to cover ground in terms of your pre-law career as an athlete. How do we come up as an attractive candidate while properly featuring our athletic careers in our application?
If you talk about your accomplishments as an athlete, you just blew it. Who cares? Here's the truth. You see, I think I care. I have one son who's done everything. Guy's a pro soccer player. He's amazing, right? Went to Stanford, engineering, MSc, very, very talented. Who cares? You go to an employer, the employer doesn't care if you won a national title necessarily. I don't care when we're recruiting people. I won't recruit the person that's won all the time. That doesn't make that person more interesting. What's most interesting is, hey, who suffered? Who had to work through things? Who had really fought and learned lessons from the competition? So the way you should position yourself is frame it. Please do not assume that employers fully appreciate and understand your experiences. You have to make sure they understand this. You're in a world where everyone gets it. Because you're all the same in certain ways, right? The work ethic, all that. You got to frame it up for them. They need to understand the number of hours you put into this. Right? They need to understand the hurdles you had to overcome. They need to understand your failures, right? The things that really made it hard for you. You do that, you make yourself an exceptional candidate. That's a major differentiator. You want tough people. They want you for your judgment. Some of these law firms, 2,000 hours, $2,500 an hour for the advice that person is going to give. They want to know when it's ugly and it's tough and it's difficult, you're not going to crumble. They're going to rely on you. So that experience you had as a student athlete is really important. That's how I would frame it if I were you guys. Yeah. Yes, please. You laughed at my 158-pound joke. Oh, 3 minutes left. Who else? Yes. Okay. Sure. Yes. Let me tell you guys something else. You don't know anything about taking a break. You're the worst. You are the worst. Seriously, you're terrible at it. Right? It's okay to take a break. I was so tired when I was done. That's all right, I'll tell you that. I was exhausted. I didn't want to compete for a little while, right? I didn't want to cut weight. I was cutting weight all the time. I was running all the time. It's okay to take a break and think. Go experience something else, all right? Go have some fun for a little while. I waited tables. I drove a car around the country. It was wonderful. Don't think that's going to put you back, all right? It's okay. You guys are so bad. My older two sons, my younger guy doesn't play sports, but the older two guys, taking a break is like so foreign for them. It's all right. You can breathe, right? It's okay. Your body's telling you, your brain's telling you. And it's a good time to reflect. And it's a good time to think back at a macro level of the things you experienced, good and bad, right? Put those into context for yourself. So yes, you can apply, and yes, you should take off the year. And if you don't want to do anything, don't do anything. Right? You've earned it. And if someone tells you otherwise, tell them to talk to me. I disagree with them, all right? Any other questions? Yes? Come on up. You just come up here with me. We can do this together, you and I. Competition. Depends. I'm a trial lawyer. I've tried cases all over the place. I loved it, and I loved it. Massive cases, billion-dollar disputes. It is a competition. I always wanted to be a trial lawyer. But there are other great practice areas, media practices, private equity. I mean, very much the sports business right now is being run more and more by lawyers. Lawyers are running the show. So it really depends on what you like. Some of you like to do deal work. All right, pursue that. Some of you want to be trial lawyers. Pursue that. Some of you want to do not-for-profit work. My wife was a not-for-profit lawyer. She really focused on helping children. That was her pursuit. There's so many different things you do. There's not a shortage. By the way, 87% of all law students, they get jobs pretty quickly. All right? All right, I'm done. So I want to thank you guys. Listen, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what you can do. Transferability, own this superpower you have, all right? Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
Make some noise. Make some noise for him, y'all. Make some noise for him.